So today we're going to do an Airtronics Espar heater rebuild. Now let me flip this around. So we have all my tools available to me, and we got our little workbench here, lots of supplies. So we have some extra inventory we purchased, like a new burn chamber, new glow plug, new gaskets, and burner screens. So we should have everything we need to rebuild this Espar heater. So I have this is a GEARWRENCH 90 tooth. I think it's like it's a small ratchet. I think it's like a 1/8. But we have all of our torque sockets right there, so we're good to go. So step one is going to be remove this housing, and you'll have this on here like this outlet screen. Just turn that counterclockwise. You have two tabs here and here. Pull up on those. That'll remove that part. Okay. So next, we're going to try to remove this unit. And I think we're going to remove this controller right here first. So let's try this. This is I think that's a T20. Yep, that works. Let's get a little magnetic tray to put that in. So we'll keep all of our parts in that so we don't lose anything. Does that lift up? Not yet. There. It has a little push fastener right there. You squeeze the sides of it, and then you can pull that controller out. There's many wires on this other side. Right here. Lots of wires. So we'll unplug these. And I'm glad we're recording this so I can see what sequence they are in. Okay. Now if we flip it on the other side, there's another wire right here. So I'll unplug that. Okay. So that pretty much gets the controller out of the way. See those wires right here? And then that wire actually goes to the glow plug over here. Right there is going to be the glow plug. So those wires out of the way. Now you can see the assembly itself. Still can't remove it from the housing. Let's go ahead and remove this plate, and that'll make things a little bit easier. So this is the bottom of the unit that would actually be on the bottom of the truck. one of these. So this would be your inlet air. This would be your exhaust. That's the fuel line right there. Get that out of the way a little bit. Put our screws, our magnetic tray, bolts, so we don't lose that. Let's take off that rubber right there. I got the heater out of the case. How I did that was I actually had to remove the controller. See how it's like right here? Just move that out. Pull the control unit completely out. That's what that looks like. Each of these plug-ins different shape, so it'd be kind of hard to screw that up. All right, so the other thing I did was I took the back of it off too. So take the back of it off, remove the controller, and then it'll slide out much easier. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll remove these 4 bolts right here. So that's that part. That's like the blower motor. Set that over there. Okay, and there's the burn chamber. So it has 3 screws. And it's going to be a T20. I've turned into a little bit of a workshop. Okay, so right here is a lever. You can see it connects right there. I think we can pull that out. A couple things. There's a gasket right here that I'm going to take off. You can see how it has a different shape. And then you just line that up with the shape of the burner itself. So it goes on there like that. So we'll set that over here. This is the glow plug boot. You pull that back and then pull that boot back along the wires so you get it out of the way. So what we have here is a part I ordered off Amazon. Zoom in on that. I'll try to remember to put a link in the comment section, but you can see it's got the slotted socket and a new boot and wire harness. So we're going to remove the old glow pin and install the new one. See, that's the new glow pin. So we're not going to, if we're going to go through the trouble of rebuilding this, we're not going to reuse old parts. So that's the new glow pin right there. New wires, everything. So this is slotted so that it can go over these wires. just like that. Okay. You could slide a tool in there and then create that torque. There we go. Doesn't take much. It has a hole right here in the side of this slotted socket, so you could put a narrow. I put in a narrow Milwaukee screwdriver in there and just made a T handle so I could turn it. All right, there's the old glow plug. So here's the old one. There's the new one. Yeah, it could be cleaned up and reused, but while we're here, we replace it with new. Looks like the wires are soldered on there. Looks pretty good shape actually. So it could be reused. I'll save it for emergency use. Alright. So we took this gasket off. Took the glow plug out. Now this right here has a clip. A little handle. So that comes right out. Like that. So it goes in like that. It comes out like that. So they say this is usually the culprit. It's usually right there. Gets filled with carbon. You can see the side there. That's that chamber there. There's nothing in there per se that has to be cleaned. You can see right there's the gasket and it's broken. That could lead to a failure. Right by itself, that could lead to a failure. So what happens is that it'll cycle on and off, and what will happen is carbon will build up. Now here's the new gasket. It'll just go in right like that. Before we reassemble this, I'll put some brake cleaner in there, spray that all out. So you can see there's a new gasket. And we have a brand new burn chamber. See that? Right there is the hole. And it looks like it has a screen in there. See, there's the old one versus the new one. Let's try to take out that burn chamber screen. So I have a couple pick tools here. We'll try to get inside there and pull that out. I don't know how in the world do they get those in and out. Hold on a second. I think there might be a tool. So I have this little rebuild kit right here. So in here we have, we have a new gasket. This is really nice. I'll check one of these. Okay, that would replace this one here. So again, if we're gonna go through the trouble of tearing this apart, we want to try to replace with new components. So we're definitely will replace with a new gasket. Okay, it has that gasket which goes in here. We now have 2 of those. And then we have this. That must be the screen removal tool. You can see all the soot. See, there's a little hole right there. And let me get my pick tool. See right there? That's a hole. It's full of carbon. That's why it stopped working right there. So when you cycle this heater on and off, on and off, on and off, you'll get carbon buildup right there. So rather than trying to salvage this burn chamber, you see the hole right there? Just replace it with new. Comes with the screen already in there. See, the screen's already in there. Everything's in good shape. So we have extra screens, and what I'll do is I'll save that and try to clean it up at a later time. I don't know if it's worth the trouble trying to put brake cleaner in there or not. We could squirt some brake cleaner in there. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go outside and spray some brake cleaner in that. Sprayed this out with brake cleaner best I could. Okay, so now we're ready to reassemble. And I have to try to remember exactly how I did things. So I think we're going to put in a brand new clamp right here, or seal. So we got that in. Then we're going to put in a brand new chamber. Now this is $100. It's a little more expensive than I remember. So we're going to try to salvage the old one and replace that screen and then clean this up. For $100 might be worth salvaging if we can. So you'll notice the pattern here. We'll have to match the pattern in there. And this is really the burn chamber itself. You got this. This is metal, or this is rubber. So line that up. One thing I want to point out with that screen right there, that's the glow pin is actually going to screw into that. So this would actually go in there like that. That's how that works. Oh, that's the old one. So we're going to replace it with a nice, clean, new one. We'll try to salvage the old one for next time. So here is the hole for the glow pin. See that hole there? Really hard to screw this up because of the shape of everything. The hard part's going to put that little rubber piece in there first. Because that's going to hold everything in place. We got the rubber piece upside down. See how this is round? That's round. So I have to take this out, flip that around. And push down on that. There we go. Everything is seated like it's supposed to be. I get the holes to line up. So we got it in, and started with the 3 screws. What it was is that this little arm here, you can bend it a little bit because it's resting up against the furnace housing, and it was preventing me from rotating it to where to line up in the hole. So you can bend this arm a little bit. So now we're just going to gently retighten that seal is kind of brittle. I imagine it will crack. This is the old one. So you can see it snapped. We're moving on. We're moving on to the glow plug. So here is where it goes in. You can get it started here very gently. We'll only use the slotted socket to tighten it. Okay. So use the slotted socket that goes over the wires. Like this. There we go. So we're not going to over tighten this. We're just going to make it nice and snug. Just like that. Let me take this off. Put the boot back over it. So what we did was we put in a new burn chamber, a new gasket, and a new glow plug. That was really the areas that failed. You saw the gasket was cracked in half, and the burn chamber was clogged right there. See how that's all clogged up? Alright, so next step is we're going to put this new gasket on. This was the old gasket. Just like easier said than done. Like that. Okay. Next is we're going to put on the lower fan. Now you notice that this will line up according to the shape. And there's the inlet, air inlet. So down here, that's the exhaust outlet. This takes longer, the longer screws here. Okay, so that part is done. Now what we'll do is we'll put this back in the housing, and in the next part we'll put it back in the housing, reattach the controller, which is right here, and we'll almost be done. We're going to put this thing back into the plastic housing. Not too bad. Okay. Gotta reattach the rear of this. Looks like it doesn't make a whole lot of difference how that goes on. So it's got some holes right there that latches into. Okay, that's on. Comes to the controller. Let's see here. Say this is supposed to be pretty simple. So obviously this is the glow plug that goes in there. Look at the shape. Pay close attention to the shape and the shape in there. Okay. Fits in. They say this was mistake proof. There's that one's in. That one's in. Got the wires attached correctly. You definitely want to pay more attention to the wires. I don't think you could screw it up, but if you take a picture of it beforehand, then you'll be perfectly okay. It is a little more difficult to get this situated back in there. So this is the T20 screw on the top. See if I can show you the wires one more time. So your wire scheme is going to be the black one, the green one, the blue one. And make sure that this is like this so it goes in smoothly. So this is a little bit tricky to get that to seat properly. It basically goes down like that. I wouldn't worry about these wires so much, as long as they're not going to get damaged. Then we're going to reattach this bottom rubber piece. Make sure that seats properly. Okay. Then reattach this bottom plate. The fuel line makes it a little bit more challenging. Okay. Then reattach your 4 little 3/8 or 10 millimeter screws. To get that rebuilt, you want the reliability it's going to work. It's a very critical part to have. And I don't know if I want to reuse old parts. Last step is to retouch that screen. There. It's done. Fully refurbished. Better than refurbished. So I don't know if you want to reuse that. That's a $100 part. In theory, you could reuse it. You gotta get that screen out. You're not gonna want to reuse these gaskets. Just throw them away. You see it's broken. So I would suggest, there's the old gold plane. I would suggest using new parts. Now you can clean this up and reuse it, but then you got to question how reliable is it going to be when you really, really need it when it's 0 degrees outside. You may feel more comfortable just replacing it with new.